note, can I just talk about how great this keyboard is? It is absolutely, wow. The keyboard was great. Have you ever wondered why some people just thrive in business and some people just completely flop? You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you do not possess these 7 skills, you will not go far. This is calling to all entrepreneurs, to people who work in a startup culture. So let's do that again because we recorded that entire episode and the microphone wasn't working. Really need to improve my tech, clearly. So painful. Hear me out for the next 15 minutes. I know why, so that I can connect with you. I saw my hair and it's looking a little frizzy. Hi my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. The sun is shining, so I'm in a great mood. And I hope you all are too. For the past decade, I have been working very closely with founders, helping them build and scale their 6, 7, or even 8-figure brands. And now it's time for me to do it for myself. For the last 5 years, I worked as Caroline Hiron's commercial director, building and scaling an incredible skincare brand, Skin Rocks. If you don't know it, check it out. We built an amazing app with tons of resource and have very well-known CH skincare kits. This channel will give you a fresh perspective on building something meaningful. So if you're a founder, a creator, or just looking to build something with intention, please subscribe to this channel and follow me along the journey. We're going to do this together and I promise it will not be boring. Lesson number 1, resilience. To work in startups and to work alongside founders, you have to have a thick skin because they can be unpredictable and you need to be able to react to that. They change their mind a lot. You cannot take it personally, and it is really not about you. Not only that, but growing a business and building a business from the ground up is full of setbacks and failures. And to be honest with you, you should just expect them. I do think there is a benefit between being naive and not knowing what's ahead. I know what it takes to build a business. And honestly, sometimes I hear founders talk about that a lot. If I knew what I knew, would I do it all again? Obviously, when working with Caroline, there were so many things that came out of nowhere that you just don't expect. For example, kit products just wouldn't arrive on time. Stock deliveries don't happen. Launches get pushed back. There are so many changes in growing a business. For example, when we were building the app, the reason why you build apps in sprints and short sprints are the periods of time, usually 2 weeks, and that you work on an aspect of the app and then move on to the next because so much can change. Bugs, so much needs to be fixed. It is just the nature of building tech. We would have to pivot all of the time. It is about the solution, not about the problem. Do not spend time worrying about the problems themselves. Just face into them and understand how quickly you can solve them. With my role as commercial director, that was one of my key responsibilities. And in a more senior position, that is ultimately your day-to-day, solving problems, putting out fires and finding the quickest solution. So resilience in those instances is so important. And one of the key takeaways from this is see setbacks not as failures, but as lessons, and just keep moving forward. Do not stress yourself out in the fact that they've happened. Just acknowledge that they are likely to happen again and to pivot quickly. And remember, each setback means that you are closer to success. So see them all as a stepping stone and not as a blocker. Lesson number 2, adaptability. Thrive in uncertainty. If change is not your bag, working in a startup probably isn't for you. Founders thrive on ideas. They have 3 a.m. ideas in the middle of the night and they'll ask you, oh my God, what do we think of this? Should we do this? We should do this. And then your responsibility is to go away, look at the idea, not to be stressed out by the fact that you're being given an idea at 3 a.m. More times, often you would get it in a working day. So you're not necessarily going to get bombarded at 3 a.m. That didn't happen very often to me. However, you are going to get faced with ideas and changes, and at the last minute they might turn around and say, actually, I've just been spending the last 6 months on this, I don't want to do this anymore. Your responsibility is to analyze and decide whether it's the right thing for the business. Don't take it personally. It's not about you. Are you willing to adapt and change and go in the direction? Does it make sense for the business to go in this direction? How you can really practice this skill and flex this muscle is be open to feedback. Do not see feedback as a negative. Feedback is an opportunity to learn and to grow from your learnings and the things that you've tested. Test new strategies. Be open to new possibilities. Do not be rigid in what it is that you think or see how something should look. That is how you learn to become adaptable. I just went to get something out of the fridge and I trapped my thumb in the fridge. Skill set number 3, see beyond the present. You have to have vision when working in a startup. The pace at which you move in a startup is rapid, million plates spinning at once. And so you have to be able to think not just in the present moment when all of that's going on. You need to be able to think, okay, right, this decision that we're making today is going to have impacts in 6 months, in 12 months because of X, Y, Z. That is really important in order for you to be able to progress in a startup culture, because that foresight and that ability to be able to see what is not just here, but what is over the hill is really important. Great entrepreneurs think long term. They don't just think in the moment. That long-term vision and that long-term strategy is really what's going to set you apart. Not just if you obviously are the entrepreneur, but also if you're working alongside them. They want to feel like they've got the support of someone who can see that vision, because that vision is crucial in order to be able to get where you want to go. For example, when managing talent, we would have biannual strategy meetings where we would get together and we would present the sort of 1 to 3 year plan as to where we saw that talent progressing in their career over the course of the next 3 years. Now, we could have just focused on the brand partnerships. We could have thought about the work that was happening there and then the deals that they were getting. Say I had a talent who really wanted to write a book, right? They wanted to write a book, but they didn't see themselves writing that book in the immediate future. They just knew that in the future they wanted to do it. Now, it's really important that for the next sort of, couple of years, that person is building a reputation within the publishing space and not just thinking about the immediate now. So, for example, we were just always building quietly their reputation within years to come. When they did eventually launch a book, it didn't seem so left of field. That is really the importance of being able to see long term and not just in the moment. One way that you can ensure that you're doing that is asking yourself the why. Why are you doing something? Why are you wanting to make a decision? Why are you wanting to embark on this? When you understand your reasons as to the why, it then becomes a lot easier to plan and map out the goals and the steps. Ask yourself what your end goal is. Lesson number 4 is discipline. Now, we've spoken about this before. Discipline is really important. Discipline is not motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is the ability to be able to go, all right, guys, this is the thing that needs to get done. Might not really want to do that thing. However, in order to get to the other side of the bridge, we need to do this. This is a really important one, and it just really emphasizes the importance of why founders need good people around them, because ideas are one thing, but without the people that are there to do the execution, the ideas would never happen. One of the ways that I find really helpful when wanting to remember the importance of this is eat the frog. There is this rule, this 80-20 rule, where they say that you focus on the bigger tasks, the ones that are going to make the biggest impact, and then you can give less time, the 20 aspects, to the less impactful things. But it's really important to do the things that are going to have the greatest impact on growing and developing the business. Eat the frog, because it's a reminder that obviously there are going to be things on your task list that you don't want to do. I wish that wasn't the case, but unfortunately it is. So do the things that you don't want to do so that they're out of the way. I always want to get rid of the things I don't want to do first, because then I can focus on the things that I really enjoy. All right, lesson number 5, and you need to get close with this one because this is honestly the most important one of all: emotional intelligence. If you lack emotional intelligence, I'm going to tell you right now that working in founder-led businesses probably will be quite a challenge for you. I believe that emotional intelligence can be developed. I think some people have more of it than others, but emotional intelligence, EQ, ability to build relationships, ability to build rapport with emotional intelligence is going to be the biggest, I believe, reasons as to why you will be successful working in startups and working with founders. If you don't have emotional intelligence and you're not able to put yourself in another person's shoes, you'll struggle to be able to deal with the nuances of founders. Everyone in your circle, you need to really see as an ally, value them. Customers, business owners, suppliers, investors, your team. Everybody is so important to you. A really helpful tip with this is to listen. People are so quick to talk and not hear what's being said. If you're listening, you're really grasping the essence of what that person is trying to say. There will be a lot of noise, and it's really important that you acknowledge that it isn't an opportunity for you to speak always. Another real key factor is being able to understand how to adapt yourself around different people. You do have to be a bit of a chameleon. You have to be able to sort of mold your personality into the vibe of the room. And that is obviously emotional intelligence to a T. Also, the same person can require a different approach depending on the time. A really great example of this in my own lived experience is when it came to big business decisions that needed to be made, where I would have to sit down with Caroline and go through them. I would never do them on a kit launch. Familiar with a kit launch day? Pretty fucking hectic. So I would not be asking anything of her during that time because one, she wasn't in the right mindset. Two, there was way too much going on. Ultimately, asking her in that moment, if I had have been to ask her, I would have got an answer that I didn't really want. Not even have been her true feelings towards that decision. So then inevitably would have had to change. So it's just not worth it. Pick your times wisely when having these conversations. Important conversations. Don't always do them just because it suits your time. Do them because it suits the wider business and will, in the long run, help you. Key takeaways from this is to practice active listening, empathy, and to really understand how to manage your emotions under pressure. This is a big one. In startup culture, there is a lot of pressure and you do need to be able to adapt and take it on the chin. Managing your emotions whilst doing that is really important. Lesson number 6, take risks. Don't be afraid of risks. There's a lot of pressure on risks and you have to ask yourself, what are you scared of if the risk was to go wrong? Pragmatically and logically ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? I practice this a lot. What is the worst that can happen? Honestly, in my opinion, as long as I'm alive, I'm good. But I'm fairly resilient. So as long as I've not died, everything is okay. In a startup culture, you cannot be risk averse. You have to be able to pivot quickly and change direction in a direction that might feel scary. But being scared is a good thing. You have to be willing, as an entrepreneur or working alongside entrepreneurs, willing to bet on yourself. Back yourself. Back your ideas, back your concepts, back your strategies, back your decisions and the reasons why you do things. For me personally, one of the most inspiring people to be around in that respect was Caroline. There is no one who bets on herself more than Caroline. Some of the decisions she would make, honestly, I was just blown away by her willingness to just bet on herself. She believes in her business. She believes in herself. She believes what she brings to the table. And breathe. 110%. And that is so inspiring to be around. And most entrepreneurs are like that because they have to be. Otherwise, they wouldn't be moving forward at the pace that they are. That also means even if it's going against everything you're being told, even the data, you'll have obviously data teams and they'll sit down and go, nah, I'm not really sure that this is a good idea. No, not interested. I know in my core that this is the right decision. And she would pursue those and she wouldn't let anybody waver her. There is going to be times in building a business and working in startups where everything that you're being told is going against everything that you believe in, or you're simply being told that your idea sucks. If you believe in that idea and you think that there is value in what it is that you are bringing, justify it and keep moving forward. Business cases are a great example of that. If you believe in something and you think that something is going to bring and add value to the business, show me. Tell me what you think that this is going to do in the next 6 to 12 months. Build a business case for it and present that. I cannot express to you how important proactivity is in developing your career. Be proactive. Sit down with your manager, tell them your ideas and tell them why you think it's a great idea. When you do that, your manager feels instantly at ease and in the relief knowing that you know what you're doing and you're confident and you back your decisions. If risks scare you, they make us all feel a little bit uneasy, let's be honest. If they do put fear into you, then by taking small, calculated risks, because what that will do is then build your confidence so that when it comes to the bigger decisions, you'll be flying. You will be flying. You will be jumping for joy at those risks. So take small calculated risks to begin with, build your confidence, because risk taking is critical in growing a business successfully. You cannot take the safe road. The safe road will get you, I don't want to say nowhere, because it will get you places, but not to the places, not to the big dreams that you want to do. These also, could I just add, are not in any particular order. Just because this is 7 doesn't mean it's any less important. And I've spoken about it before. I know, what a broken record, but it's really important. Persistence. Persistence is key when building a brand, and persistence when working with founders is equally as important. The difference between winners and losers is literally the people that just keep going. Now, I personally find that so inspiring and empowering, because if that is literally the difference between winners and losers, all you have to do is get over that hurdle. Just keep going. There is one direction, and it is forward. Keep going forward. No other direction. Where else would you go? You can't go backwards. You can't go, what was that book that we all read as a kid? Sorry, I digress. That you can't go under, you can't go over. We just have to go through. You do. You just have to go through, and you just have to keep going, because that is the difference between winners and losers in this life. Remember that when you're next having a moment where you're thinking, I want to sack this in because I can't do it anymore. No, you can. The only way is through. I'm going to give you an example of this. Before I moved to Australia, I had high hopes, dreams, wishes, wants of working for Roxy Jasenko in Australia. At the time, she was very prolific in her space. I saw her as a very inspirational individual. And so I moved to Australia. Before I moved to Australia, I applied for loads of jobs. Everybody laughed at me. They were like, I was very insistent. I said, I'm going to move to Australia. I don't want to do farm work. If you know about the Australian farm work, I think they might have gotten rid of it, but let's say you have to work on a farm. I heard some absolute horror stories of friends who have done it. Anyway, didn't want to do that, not a farm girl. And I was like, no, I'm going to Australia. I'm never going to come back. Plot twist, I did come back. And I'm going to go and I'm going to live there and I'm going to get a job and I'm going to get sponsored and I'm going to stay forever. Now, whilst the staying forever aspect didn't happen, I did get a job with Roxy Jasenko. I did work at the Ministry of Talent. I headed up her entire talent division. I ran the business as head of talent for almost 3 years. And it was a whirlwind of a journey. We're not going to go into that on this episode because I would need some deep therapy if I was to dig back into that time of my life. And we've already been there and we've done that, so we won't be doing that again. I took jobs where I wasn't even getting paid to work in PR because I knew that that was her industry and I wanted to be sort of around that. I worked in jobs I really didn't want to do. But I was persistent and I did not give up. And then after about 3 months of being in Australia, I landed a job with her. They happened to advertise for a junior booker. And then within the space of 6 months, I literally progressed to head of talent. So when you set your sights on something and you may face into setbacks, do not, under any circumstances, let them deter you from following the goal. Similar to what we were saying before, know your end goal. Know your end goal. When you know your end goal, the bits that happen in between are irrelevant. But in order to overcome the fear of persistence, what you can do is set small actionable goals so that you don't get burnt out. Because I'm going to be honest, I've experienced burnout, different industry, not when I was with Caroline, but I have experienced burnout working in founder-led businesses, actually a few times, because you keep pushing yourself to a certain limit that eventually is not sustainable. So you burn out. That's basically what burnout is. Your body is just like, oh my God, stop doing what you're doing. I'm exhausted. I can't do this anymore. I am emotionally and physically drained. Which is, that's not a nice place to be. I learned a hell of a lot when I was there. And if you're around supportive people and you have a business that understands that the industry can be quite fast paced and there is a lot of pressure and it can all get a little bit much, great, because you're around people that support you because they know that the industry is kind of what's got you there. So I'm very thankful for those people that were there during that time. And anybody who's experienced burnout before, I sympathise with you, and I think you should be really proud of yourself for getting through the other side. I had to go through therapy for some of my burnout, so we need to protect ourselves. I can't give myself a proper hug because my microphone is here. Okay, so I really hope that those 7 skills, they will get you so far in life, but they will get you so far, especially if you are working in a startup culture. And I owe so much of my career success to these skills and to honing these skills. Best believe when I was 21, trotting out of Manchester University, some of these skills were not things I possessed whatsoever. If you're watching this and you feel like you're not there, you will get there, and you need to acknowledge the fact that you grow and develop these skills by just doing them. Startup culture is the most exhilarating, exciting, I really hope I haven't put you off with this video, but it is the most exciting, exhilarating experience and environment ever. There are so many benefits of startup culture, and I think it's an incredibly fast way to learn. So if you're in a startup at the moment and this video has resonated with you, please like and subscribe. It really means a lot. Comment below with comment below with which of these 7 traits you think that you need to work on, and then you can use this. You can come back to the video and you can see in a few months' time or in a year's time. I will always be here. This video will always be here. Next week's video, we're going into vlogs. To be completely honest, because vlogs are far easier to film. I love sitting down and doing these, but they're stressful. And I want to show you the reason why we're all here, which is the behind the scenes of how to build a brand. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you in the next video. See you next Sunday, where I will be doing, you're going to just be seeing a day a week. You're just going to be seeing a week in the life with me. You're basically just going to be spending every single day with me from now on. How lucky are you? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. I can't type on it whatsoever. You are ruining my filming. Great entrepreneurs. Sun is coming through the window, so we're just going to work with that. Glaring me in the eyes. The weather in London, if you live in London, the weather has been phenomenal. We are so close to the clocks going backwards. The sign of summer.